Hello, everybody. If anything, this allows me to test the mic for Griff because he will be talking during the concert. How many of you have been to a Back Bay Ringers concert before? How many have not? It's the other half. For those who have not, you're in for a very rare, and it's, in this case, holiday treat. My name's Brad Connor. I am the music director here at First Parish. We're hosting today's program, and the Back Bay Ringers have been here biannually. I think this is the third or maybe even the fourth time. So we've had a long-standing connection with them.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us here in Bedford this afternoon. This is we are very excited because this is the first concert for our season this year. So we're excited to kick off Christmas with the Back Bay Ringers here in returning here to Bedford. We opened this morning with a medley by Margaret Tucker, Christmas Carillon, and we're going to continue with two Appalachian arrangements. Collected probably originally by John Jacobs Niles, who was an arranger, ethnomusicologist, and the first one is the beautiful setting of I Wonder as I Wander, and then we'll continue with a very simple but elegant arrangement of Jesus, Jesus, Rest Your Head. So here is Arnold Sherman's arrangement of I Wonder as I Wander. So as I mentioned, our next selection will be a really very elegant and peaceful version of Jesus, Jesus, Rest Your Head. And it will take them just a second to get that set up because they're actually switching to an alternative bell set for us. Currently, we're ringing on a set of American-made bells. It's a 6.5 octave range of Malmark handbells. And what they're getting out now is our 3-octave arrangement of 3-octave collection of Whitechapel handbells. These are created in the Whitechapel Foundry in England, which was the longest continually operating manufacturing company in England. They've been in operation for over 500 years. They're responsible for founding many of the great bells found really in cathedrals and bell towers all around the world, including Notre Dame, and one famous bell here in Philadelphia, the Liberty Bell, but please don't judge them on their quality based on what happened to that bell. We like to use these bells because you'll hear that it is a slightly different timbre, and it's kind of like an organist being able to change the stops on the organ to create different sounds and sort of different, just sort of a different feeling, a different timbre. So we hope that you enjoy Vocal Bust's arrangement of Jesus, Jesus, Rest Your Head. I learn every once in a while. So our next arrangement is Once in Royal David City. Karen Linky Buckwalter graduated from the same undergraduate program that I graduated from a few years before and I just adore the way she treats melodies. She often will intertwine other ideas, and that's very evident in this particular arrangement. You'll hear, amidst this beautiful arrangement of Once in Royal David City, the hymn tune for O Little Town of Bethlehem as well. So listen for that. About halfway through the piece, you'll hear that coming through in our treble section up there. See, not only is it their first time, but it's my first time for doing all the talking stuff. So they at least get to rehearse their part every week. I don't get to rehearse the talking part very much. Good. So here is Karen Linky Buckwalter's Once in Royal David City. completely different. We continue with Kevin McChesney's energetic arrangement of Sing We Now of Christmas. This piece is a showcase for a variety of stopped sounds from the opening malleted section, which you'll hear mostly, well, actually kind of across the board there, all the way up to some of the martellato techniques, where the bell is actually physically rung into the table to create a really sort of gentle popped, stopped sound. So as you're watching, kind of look for those. As you're listening, kind of look for all of those different techniques. I'll also tell you that this is probably a good song to sort of start to think about if you have any questions about what you're seeing up here on the table. And a little bit, after a couple more pieces, we'll stop and do a couple of questions from you. You can ask questions about the techniques, the instruments, the organization, or the history of handbells, and we'll certainly do our best to answer those questions for you. So here's Kevin McChesney's Sing We Now of Christmas. So many composers have been inspired to write or to set the text of the Ave Maria, whether it be Verdi, Rachmaninoff, the famous Bach-Gounod arrangement. But today we're going to feature two that have reached a certain level of popularity as well. The first was actually written by a 20th century German composer named Franz Biebel. He wrote this for a fireman's choir, and this originally was for two choirs for men's voices, and became incredibly popular when Chanticleer brought it over. And, well, in the choral world, everyone just immediately fell in love with the piece. So we're going to start with the Franz Biebel Ave Maria, and then we'll continue with, at least in my family, if you said the Ave Maria, that could only mean the Schubert Ave Maria. And my grandmother was very upset if anything else was played. So we'll continue with the Schubert Ave Maria as well. was about 1988 or 89, and 1999 or 98. I attended a concert at the Westminster Choir College. I just recently graduated, and I loved going back to hear their concert bell choir. And I was enjoying their Christmas concert, which was on their campus in their beautiful little chapel that's there. And they were performing Bill Griffin's arrangement or transcription of Ave Maria. And I swore someone was playing the organ with them. But it was actually the first year that they were introducing the brand new, at the time, Malmark bass choir chimes, which you can see standing up back there by Ashley, and I believe Kelsey will be back there soon as well. She's making her way down. It was the first time that I'd ever heard these instruments live before, and was really impressed by the rich, deep bass sound that they were producing. One of the interesting characteristics of the chimes is that they will only give you a true fundamental sound, so you're not getting all of the overtones, all of the other sounds that are coming out of the handbells. So here is Bill Griffin's transcription of the Ave Maria. Our next two selections have become a bit of a Back Bay Ringers tradition. Last year we celebrated our 15th anniversary, and this next piece has been on every holiday program. I cannot tell you the number of times I've conducted it, but I can tell you that about 3/4 of the way through it, it still brings chills, and I will never stop conducting this piece. Fred Grayman describes it as like you're taking a walk through the countryside, and off in the distance you hear the tower bells ringing, and then very faint in the distance you hear a choir practicing the beautiful Divinum Mysterium chorale. As you continue your walk, you enter into the church for the ending, and the bells are ringing, and the choir is singing in the most glorious way possible, and that is the journey of Fred Grayman's Change Ring Prelude on Divinum Mysterium. So, here we go. just love that piece. Thank you. So the next piece was actually written by a classmate of mine. And I didn't know at the time, but when we were growing up, we actually grew up about a mile away from each other in Maryland. We both ended up at Westminster Choir College. We didn't know each other when we lived in Maryland. But Jim is just an amazing musician. He's just one of those people that when I was at Westminster, you just knew that he was going to do some fantastic things musically. And he wrote this arrangement of Stille Nacht for the Westminster Concert Bell Choir. A few years ago, I had a chance to do an alumni event there, and during the alumni event, we rang this piece, which wasn't yet published, and I immediately went over to Jim and I was like, I need that for BBR now. I was like, I promise you when it gets published, we'll buy it, but I want it now. And so we were the second choir to be able to perform this piece because I stole it from Jim. And so this is our third year in a row playing it, but we just love it so much. And Stille Nacht has a very special meaning to me, and so it's wonderful for me to be able to include this in our program. So here's Jim Weber's arrangement of Silent Night. And now we'll give the ringers just a minute or two to relax. So we invite you, if you have any questions, as I said, either about the organization, the instruments, the techniques you're seeing, any questions we'll try to field pertaining to what's happening up here today. Yes? So I will show you exactly what the music looks like. So the music looks like piano. Yeah, my binder is, I need a new one apparently. The music looks like piano, like a piano score for someone with 30 fingers. And they all have the same score. Each bell does have, can you just do that real quick? Each bell is labeled with the note. So this one is the D5. And our set that we use, our primary set, all of the sort of natural notes have white handles, and our accidentals have the black handles, just like the keys on a piano, which we appreciate because when you're grabbing quickly, it saves us. You're going to see them doing some quick grabbing in our next piece, I promise. You had a question as well. How do you learn to do this? That's a great question. I can tell you my personal experience. I went to college, had never touched a handbell before, saw the Westminster Bell Choir perform at Family Weekend and was like, I want to do that because that looks fun. And I joined their training choir and then learned through that. Many of the musicians have been in church programs since they were, younger. Some have joined, well, I think Matthew joined BBR, never having touched a bell, right? Matthew is one of our close to founding members. So he's been in the ensemble for 14, 15 years. So, yes. So it really kind of varies, but yes. Yes? They are bronze. So the bells are bronze, and then all of our choir chimes are aluminum. Yes? Yes? Yes. So I will show you, that has a lot to do with the design of the clapper head. So on the larger clapper heads, and even, I don't have a bass, so I'm not going to pull one out right now, but the bass have like a felt that's wrapped around them. This is a softer plastic. Oh, there we go. Thank you. I was like, I can't climb back there. Whereas our treble bells, perfect. Inside the treble bells is a much harder clapper, so you're just going to get a different timbre on the attack. That's especially true with our Whitechapels, where whoever is playing the poor BC position right here has to deal with the fact that the B has a felt clapper, and the C, which is in their other hand, has a leather clapper, and they sound very, very, very different. So I feel badly for whoever is assigned there. Sorry, Susan. Yes? That's a great question. So handbell ringing really began as a way of practicing peals for carillon-type bells, so bells that you would find in church steeples. A peal is basically a mathematical pattern. Well, the neighbors of the towers got annoyed when the people were just practicing those. And frankly, the bell ringers got tired of it because it's cold up there. So they invented the handbells to sit around a warm fire in a little pub somewhere, and they could practice their mathematical peals there. Quickly, I'm sure, especially if you're sitting at a pub, you're going to realize that if you have all of these tuned bells, hey, look, we can play actual songs on them. One of the cool things is that handbells in the United States got their resurgence right here in Boston. Margaret Shercliffe was a Beacon Hill resident who was introduced to bell ringing by her father, and she really launched the art as we know it today. So that was in the 1920s. Yes, it originated in Europe. In fact, in the 1800s, you would have found bell bands like this all throughout England. So there were 5-octave bell bands, and some even slightly larger, in many of the towns throughout there. So, yeah, yes? Who is responsible for polishing bells? They are. That is their job. That's one of the reasons that we love our new aluminum bass bells. We don't have to polish them, although they take up a lot of room. One more question. Yes?
I know Carl Orff is smiling down on all of you. I share in your Orff training and am also an elementary music teacher. And I just wondered if you have started any of these programs in the schools in Danvers.
Yes, thank you for asking. So I teach kindergarten through 5th grade music at the Highlands Elementary School in Danvers, and I have a 4th and 5th grade chime choir there. We have 4 octaves of choir chimes. We also have a doubled, the second octave is also doubled. So I have 19 students in my chime choir, and I love working with them. You mentioned my Orff Schulwerk training. I actually wrote a teacher resource book of how to use these instruments in the classroom as Orff Schulwerk instruments. So really getting them in the hands of students so that they can move while they're playing them and all kinds of fun stuff, things that they can create. So, if you have any further questions, we'd love to have you come up to the front of the tables at the end of our concert. You're more than welcome to come up and talk to our ringers. Work with the ringers. They'll be happy to help you ring and experience any of the instruments that are up here. We just ask that you not come behind the table. It's a little bit crowded back there, and as you can imagine, there's a lot of equipment. And we have many, many concerts left, so we want to make sure that they last throughout our other concerts this season. We're going to continue with Bill Griffin's arrangement of Trepak. Whew. I feel like the little bell at the end of the Hershey Kiss commercial. So on behalf of our musicians that are up on that stage, on behalf of our board of directors, I want to personally thank everyone here at First Parish here in Bedford. I want to especially thank Laura and Brad for all of their help in making us feel incredibly welcome here in this space. We are a slightly unusual type of organization to deal with in the amount of space that we need, and they have been so gracious and so welcoming. And so I appreciate that and extend our heartfelt gratitude. Thank you for joining us. We know that during this time of the season, there are so many other things that you could have chosen to either attend or to do in your very busy lives, so we appreciate you carving out time to spend the afternoon here with us. There's a way that you could help us out tremendously. Inside your program, you will find a little information card. If you did not get a program, we apologize for the snafu with our delivery of our formal programs. Our poor publicity person was in a panic last night when they did not arrive. But we, if you do not have an information card, if you could visit our CD sale table in at the reception and grab one of those cards. The card really tells us how you learned about our organization. It allows you to sign up for our email list. I promise we're not one of those organizations that sends out a million emails. But it just lets you know what's going on in our world, lets you know about other concerts. We do some wonderful concerts in the spring where we really try to give back to our community in the spring. If you don't know our full history, all of our proceeds for our spring concerts actually go to a partnership organization. So we love to have you join us and support not only our music, but support the organization that we are partnering with. So, first way you can help us, go ahead and fill out one of those cards. And if you do that while we're playing our next piece, none of us will mind. Second thing you can do for us is, well, 'tis the season of giving. And that means two things that you could possibly do. You could consider making a contribution to this organization. It takes a tremendous amount of financial liabilities to make this organization run. As I mentioned, we do donate all of our spring proceeds to another organization. That leaves our winter programs and the donations that we receive from our supporters to really help us fund what we do. That includes renting our space every week for rehearsal. That includes purchasing all of the new music. So there's a tremendous amount that goes into making this happen. You can certainly talk to Donna at the CD table about if you are interested in making a donation. Second thing, we can actually help you with the fact that it is the season of giving. We have several CDs, we have two CDs back there. One is Perpetual Motion. It is our CD that is original compositions and featuring music of dance. And the second is Comfort and Joy, which is our newest Christmas CD. Some of the pieces that you'll hear this evening are also on that CD. And, all right, what did I forget, Cade? I think that was it.
The items, the mugs as well.
Oh, right. There are really cute mouse handbell mugs out there as well. They're really, really adorable, and I haven't gotten one yet, and I need to get one. So the CDs and the mugs are for sale back on the table with Donna. We're going to continue now with two sleigh rides. The first is slightly less familiar, and I promise you'll know the last one. Thank you again for joining us. We hope that our concert provided you with, ooh, sparkles, shiny things. Should never turn that on before I speak. We hope that this afternoon's concert provided you with a little bit of respite, a little bit of calm and peace during what is naturally a very busy season. We know that there are so many things to plan, and trips to organize, and gifts to purchase, and homes to decorate, and cookies to bake, and presents to purchase, and the list goes on and on. But the meaning of the holiday spirit really should be about peace and the joy that comes from the light of the season, and we hope that our program today provided a little bit of that light and peace. We're going to close with Leroy Anderson's Sleigh Ride.